What's up, fellow collectors? Welcome back to the M.I.B. Master Toy Museum. I'll be your curator today. Guys, I got another fun G.I. Joe video for you. I'm down here relaxing in a museum. It's a Friday. I'm trying to take it easy. And I was checking out some more of my favorite G.I. Joe figures. And I know a while back we did a video on my top 10 favorites list of G.I. Joes. Well, and I mentioned in that video that doing that is very difficult because having so many G.I. Joes here in the museum, I have a lot of favorites. So I said what I would do is I would make a lot of videos on a lot of my favorite G.I. Joes. I'm just kind of put them together, grab a few. And these are the few that I found today that really I have a lot of fond memories of. And some of these Joes are a little bit more expensive than others, but they all have the same amount of love for me. I have the same amount of love for all of them, I should say. It's not a monetary value thing with me here at the museum. I collect because I enjoy collecting, the passion. I once told a fellow collector that the day that I lose the passion for collecting action figures, that's the day that I'll stop collecting. And I shared that with a fellow collector. Oh, that's been about 20-something years ago. And I'm still here. I'm still collecting. We have a fantastic channel now. Our museum has grown to levels that I would never have dreamt of our museum growing to. So, but just being able to come down here after a hard day's work and just looking at my G.I. Joes really is very therapeutic for me. And I'm looking at this is my my G.I. Joe Adventure Team Search for the Radioactive Satellite. And this was the Timeless Collection series that came out in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003. And I remember when this set came out, and it was only being, I believe it was only, I think it was only an exclusive at Meijer, if I'm saying that name correctly. I think it was just exclusively sold there. Now, if somebody knows something different, let me know. But I remember it only being, that's the only place I knew it was being sold at. I didn't get a chance to get this figure from Meijer. I didn't. Both of these beautiful figures were birthday gifts for me. And I don't know where my in-laws purchased it. My wife's mother and father purchased this for me for my birthday years ago. And I didn't have these in my collection. You can find these on eBay. Guys, with the power of the internet, you can find anything now. Literally, you can find anything. It's not a mystery, which is another reason it kind of takes the fun out of it, because everything's really at your fingertips now. Just go to the internet. You can find anything you want. It has its pluses and minuses, I guess. But I remember when this first came out, and I said, oh my goodness, this is a fantastic set. It harkens back to the old adventure team of the 1970s, the G.I. Joe adventure team, the Kung Fu grip. Yes, he has a Kung Fu grip. Just a fantastic figure. Lifelike hair. Once again, we talked about purists in our last video. So G.I. Joe purists, they're just like the Mego purists. They really don't consider these reproduction figures to be, anything great or anything like that. They are not well received with a lot of the purists. Some purists, but most purists that I've spoken to, I'll tell you this. One G.I. Joe purist told me that the G.I. Joe reproduction figures is really hurting the vintage G.I. Joe market. Well, and I can imagine, because this set came out in the 1970s. You'll be hard pressed to find this set in this condition like this right now, mint in box. You'll be hard pressed to find it like that. And if you do, it's going to cost well over $1,000. Easy. And I'm talking about top condition, M.I.B. condition. But reproductions, now that Hasbro started the Timeless Collection, so that they start making these reproductions, now you can get this same set that was back in the 1970s for practically nothing compared to what you would have to pay for vintage. I don't think this is, once again, this was a gift, so I can't tell you precisely how much this cost. But it's beautiful. He comes with everything. Map cases, harpoon guns, pistols, the satellite there, his flippers, oxygen tank, you name it. Search for the radioactive satellite. And guys, we're just hanging out down here. Like I said, I'm just relaxing. You have to spend time with your action figures. Sometimes I'm running 1,000,000 miles a second. I'm moving so fast and making videos and editing and responding to comments, creating new material for future videos. You lose yourself. You really do. I lose myself a lot. And I don't have time just to stop and smell the coffee and just relax and really just take a big step back and realize how truly blessed I really am to own some awesome action figures. And I think all of you guys, wherever you're at, take a moment or two after a hard day's work, after dropping kids off at volleyball or basketball practice, after working a double at your job or overtime, and just go to your collection rooms, sit down, grab a few of your favorite action figures, and just take it all in and reminisce and enjoy yourself. That's what collecting, that's the very essence of what enjoying your collections is all about. And we're looking at another one of my favorites here. Same as the Search for the Radioactive Satellite. It's a Timeless Collection, a Meyer exclusive. Rendezvous at Danger Pass. I want to get in close. Rendezvous at Danger Pass. I was a huge fan of the Adventure Team as a kid, G.I. Joe Adventure Team. I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't afford these figures when I was a kid. My cousins had them, and I just remember being in awe of the lifelike hair. I was always amazed by that lifelike. How did they get that? How did they make that work? And I always wanted a G.I. Joe Adventure Team, but they were too expensive back in the 1970s. Mego figures, that's where I became so connected and in love with Mego figures, because they were very kid friendly, but more than that, the price, they were parent friendly for financial purposes. Parents could afford them. Didn't cost as much as a 12-inch G.I. Joe. But I wanted, make no mistake, I wanted the G.I. Joe Adventure Team. And for Hasbro, years later, in the early 2000s, to come out with the Timeless Collection series and recreate a lot of the fun Adventure Team G.I. Joe sets that were so popular in the 1970s, it really made to me, it made a lot of sense. Once again, the purists hated it. They absolutely hated it. Like I said, I got a good collector buddy of mine. Absolutely, he will not put anything reproduction G.I. Joe into his collection. Hates it. Absolutely says it's destroying the market. With all of he calls them fake G.I. Joes. That's what he calls them. Fake G.I. Joes. They're not real. They don't have the same, meaning or attachment, emotional attachment, memory-wise for him. So he said they're just reproductions. But I said, you have to understand, if people couldn't afford these things in the 1970s, it's hard to find these guys now. So to find this figure, mint in box, and look what he comes with. He's got his shoulder holster, but our other guy didn't point that out. Shoulder holster as well. Shoulder holster. Pistol. I'm going to say this is his flashlight. Like a scope for the gun. You can create another gun. There's another pistol. There's his mask. Binoculars. Whatever that is. Walkie-talkie. There's a stock for the gun. Special mission briefcase there. These sets were very difficult to find. I say right, 2002, 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. Very difficult to find. And Meyer was here's the thing. I didn't have a Meyer anywhere near me. So that made it tough. So that's, but looking back now, these were the two figures that I really wanted. And I'm so happy and grateful and blessed to have these two figures in my collection. Super happy. Guys, what do you think of some of my favorite G.I. Joe figures? Do you remember these figures? Do you have these figures? We want to hear all of that. Leave your comments right underneath this video in the comment section. Looking at my G.I. Joe Hall of Fame figure, Battle Pack Major Blood. This is another figure that doesn't cost a lot. Didn't cost a lot, but I always thought was very cool. And he's one of my favorites out of the Hall of Fame, my Hall of Fame G.I. Joe collection series. The body armor, which has been used 1,000 times over. This is just a different color. You can see how minty fresh he is. Still got the plastic on the inside of there, protecting that pack right there in front on his armor, body armor. I mean, you could put a cherry bomb on these Hall of Fame figures, and the cherry bomb would go off, explode, and this figure, not that I didn't do that, but I'm just showing you how durable and indestructible these figures were. Fantastic figures. Not a lot of articulation. Love the pants. Look at the pockets there. He's the bad guy. There's the Cobra logo, holster. And here's the battle pack, where it's a working winch that allows him to, you can attach it to something and it pulls him up. How cool is that? Grenades. Here's his pistol there. There's his beautiful helmet right behind there. Just some of my favorite figures. And the Hall of Fame figures were always really cool to me. I made it a life's mission to make sure I had all of these Hall of Fame figures because they're so cool. There's his dog tags. Beautiful head sculpt too. This is right around when G.I. Joe was just making his comeback, and Hasbro was really adding a lot of fantastic characters from the rosters, from the Cobra roster and the G.I. Joe roster. And Major Blood was at the top of my list. Beautiful figure. Here is my Destro. I am, out of all the bad guys, just Destro was always to me one of the coolest because of that shiny silver head. Now it's a helmet here. More of a helmet, it's more of a mask. As you can see, this mask does come off, revealing underneath a face, his just a regular face. All the cool spring activated loaded weapons. But the selling point was the mask, the silver mask, and the outfit, which is what I just thought was super cool. I think looking back now, he's got his name on his belt buckle there. Looking back on it now, Hasbro did a fantastic job by way of really designing a lot of the outfits and accessories. Here's it. There's this knife. Even the knife has his name and face logo on it. Look at the top of the knife here. Destro here there. Fantastic, guys. This is one of my figures that I'll come into the museum and really look at. He's one of the first ones that I'll pull out of the my collection just to take a look at. It's just fun, guys. It's just fun. Last but not least, one of my basic figures, my heavy duty M.I.B. Why would you like just this regular basic figure that didn't sell for much, even back then? It's got a couple price tags on it. Just, you know what? I would like to tell you 1,000,001 reasons why this figure means so much to me. But the main and only reason I can give you is that he's just really cool to me. More sentimental value than anything. He's just really cool. There's his pistol there. Cherry Mint is still inside the package behind him. Just your basic figure. He's got his white t-shirt, nice green helmet. His dog tags are perfect. Shiny. Green pants. The pockets, side pockets on around the side here. You can tell he's got the G.I. Joe logo on the side and boots. No rhyme or reason for any of these figures. They're just some of my favorites. I could be at work, or I could be doing something, and I can think about these figures, these particular figures right here, these 5, and immediately just get happy. Happy by the fact that they're in my collection. Happy by the fact that, you know, I can go home and check these figures out and to know that they're in my collection. Happy to be a collector, guys. And that's pretty much what this video is all about. Just taking the time to check out your collection. You know, I'll go a couple days without coming to my museum because I'm just too busy, and I truly regret it. Feels like 2 days feels like 2 weeks if I'm not in my museum just to take it all in. Guys, that's all I got for you. Just wanted to kind of unpack this video for you. You know the routine, guys. God bless. And keep collecting.